Hello, hello, beautiful people. Angie Grimes here, your quantum architect, here to go over the Alchemize Your Energy transit. This will be for the period of 10/20/22. And we're going to talk about gate 50, which is the gate of values today. Now, this particular challenge stands out as an archetype that mirrors the process in genetics known as transcription. Really is what we're going to be discussing today is talking about corruption. More often than not, we think of political and social corruption, where those in positions of authority misuse and abuse their power for the purpose of personal gain. Now, I'm going to change this a little bit as we examine this challenge. I'd like you to consider the word corruption in another context. I'd like you to look at it in the state of being corrupt data, as in, like from a computer translation standpoint. We had some corrupt data during the transmission, something to that effect. Even though the challenge does have to do with the social values of human beings, by thinking of corruption in this more impersonal way, we can actually understand the word at a far deeper and more objective level. Basically doesn't get those, juices going. One particular example is our tendency to operate in hierarchies. And, we have man-made laws that attempt to maintain a certain level of order within our societies. And it's because we still operate out of a hierarchical consciousness that we need these social laws to govern. However, these hierarchies create a climate of deep division among people. They give birth to comparison, which leads to greed, desire, jealousy, and inevitably social corruption. Our tendency to operate in hierarchies actually came from our need to compete with each other, which comes from an older part of our brain that favors individual survival. At this particular challenge frequency, data that is processed by our brain is translated through the medium of fear. As it occurs, the data is corrupted, and it's leading to a slanted manifestation in the world. This challenge has much to do with the way in which RNA copies DNA. Now, if you're not familiar, RNA is actually a chemical substance, and it's similar to DNA, whose role is to transcribe aspects of your genetic code in order that new proteins can be formed. In other words, RNA would be the messenger that reads and copies the instructions for life. In the process known as transcription, messages can be misinterpreted before they're translated. And this is exactly what occurs within human society. Fear causes misinterpretation, leading to a reaction from one party, which then triggers the same fear and counter reaction in another party. The result is chaos. When the frequency running through a whole society decreases, chaos and corruption rule. So when we talk about this, corruption can be understood as the symptom of a collectively created reality. It requires hierarchy in order to exist. And hierarchy in and of itself is a low frequency attempt to maintain order within a community. There's this saying that the moment you create a law, you also create a rebel. The world we see through the news headlines is actually a world that is struggling to move beyond this challenge state. Corruption is rife throughout the social, political, and economic systems across our entire planet. And the wealthiest countries are trying to maintain global equilibrium through hierarchical control. whilst at the same time, they're actually riddled with their own corruption. Almost anywhere that you can look, this fear-based thinking of this challenge is at work. I think that there's hope though, and we as humans will eventually learn. You can never tackle corruption by targeting individuals or groups or even individual countries. The key to restoring equilibrium is that we must look deeper than corruption itself. Because, like I said before, corruption's actually a byproduct of a deeply flawed worldview. And until the core problem is tackled, corruption will and must continue to flourish. So, as I said before, this particular challenge has hope in the form of a new social model that lies beyond hierarchy. If the data passing through the human brain is corrupted, then one must ask the question, what does it look like when it's uncorrupted? Now, the answer to that is an inherent code for creating harmony, both on an individual level and on a global level. Intimacy is the key to manifesting equilibrium in this world. And when I talk here about the word intimacy, I'm going to refer in context to honesty in interaction with others. You know, Kat and I have this very unique dynamic that we have chosen to show up and deploy radical honesty with each other. And there's a vital role of honesty, and that's to create a clean group aura in which all hidden agendas are laid on the table. And without this, no true equilibrium can ever be reached. At high frequencies, this creates powerful ripples and electromagnetic currents that have this remarkable effect of bringing groups into equilibrium. Whenever equilibrium is found in a person, the fabric of the entire social group, be it a family, a business, shift the entire dynamic of that social group. If we're going to make a soup, we're going to say that this state of equilibrium represents the social values of a particular community or family. Then what happens is there's a role to balance the ingredients in this soup. And that's what it means to create a state of equilibrium. It's like you're a cook and you know exactly how to read the needs and requirements of any group and adjust the ingredients accordingly. Now, I know this sounds complex, like it's requiring a bunch of interpersonal skills. But the truth is that the people that have this particular gate can create harmony in a group without even thinking about it. Their true power is rooted in the high frequency that moves through their aura. Maintaining social equilibrium involves fulfilling the needs of both the individual and the group as a whole. Now, this is actually based on the notion of hierarchy, and that's a social model beyond hierarchy. So let me tell you what this is about. Hierarchy is based upon the principle that if an individual is not in balance, then the group has no chance of finding balance. It places individual equilibrium before anything else. And it does this through encouraging a process of individual creative empowerment, where each individual is given one of the most extraordinary gifts, and that's trust. By trusting the individual to take responsibility for their own contribution to the group, a very powerful energy field builds within that group. And only when individuals are trusted with their own freedom does a community truly begin to radiate health. Now, to have equilibrium, you really must deploy teamwork. And when you do that, it's this self-organizing phenomenon that can never be successfully implemented through external control. This is the great secret of humanity's future: collective harmony. It can only be achieved through individual freedom and trust in the self-organizing intelligence that emerges from that freedom. Thank you so much. Have the best week.